Okay, Alicia, I'll send your prompt. Yeah. Send your prompt. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, hi, sorry. I was on mute. Okay, brilliant. Okay, I'm just trying to share my screen. Can you allow? Is that right?
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
Can you all see only one screen? What do you see, Anil?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you see just one screen?
I can see two screens. Both the screens I can see.
You can see all the screens.
Yeah, two screens. The one is, yeah. Who am I? Why me? These are the slides.
Okay. Now, only one?
Only one at this moment, yeah.
Okay, let's try this. Just coming to the next one. It's not. Sorry about that. Sorry, technology, I tell you. Let's hope now you see only one screen.
Since it's taking, okay, now it's one screen.
Oh, it's one screen, right? Okay, awesome. Just stop my monitor. Oh, but you see my photos as well. Shit, sorry about that.
All right, Olivia, should be okay now.
You can see the pages, the pictures, right, of everyone?
I can see only the books picture.
Now you can only see the books, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So you don't see the pictures of everyone now.
No.
Okay, awesome. Sorry. Okay, cool. Awesome. So thank you for having me, and I'm so excited about talking about this book, which is one of the advanced books. And then there are a few more books of Robert Kiyosaki that we all read and follow, and it's very important in everybody's journey. And so let me just get started because I think we lost some time. So just a quick one is who am I and why me? Though Anil has done a fantastic introduction already, but I'm not going to take too long on this. A quick one. These are some of the companies that I'm a global sales growth authority with 18 years of hands-on selling experience, like literally as a normal salesperson, started as an employee and trying to do different things today as we move on. But what I really like to do is help businesses to win clients and sell better. This can be one of the most stressful jobs for anyone, and it's quantified. So you can't say I'm doing well when the numbers don't talk. So numbers speak the loudest, and that's what we help people do. So I'm the founder and strategy officer at Rooftop Sales, which is a sales training, coaching, and a consulting company. We specialize in tech companies, but we also run a franchise of 10x CEOs. Now, as you go into the concepts of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and some of Robert Kiyosaki's books, you'll understand where a franchise comes in, and it's about applying what you read and learn. And that's why this is shared here. But Anil already said I'm very highly educated, though Rich Dad doesn't necessarily talk about getting academic education. He talks about a different level of education, which I'm going to share a little bit about when we get deeper into the cash flow quadrant when we speak about it. A few achievements in life with Girl Guiding and love driving women leadership. But technology and investments into real estate is something that's driven me towards my financial freedom. Again, some concepts from the Rich Dad concept. This is the franchise model with 10x CEOs, which comes in. AE Clicks was my first business which failed, which is again something that Rich Dad is going to talk about and we're going to learn more about as we go ahead. Now, the digital marketing company was the first business that failed, and then started with a franchise opportunity with a company called 10x CEOs, which are also partners with a forum, a much bigger platform and a much bigger forum of global entrepreneur exchange. Why I'm telling you all this is not because of representing these brands here, but more about applying the rules and the principles that we learn from this current book that we're talking about. And the last venture that I started on my own, is Rooftop Sales. And how the journey began is something I want to apply from the book that I want to share. So very quickly, the first thing that we saw, now one very good thing that ever happened in my life was that I came across this book when I was only 12 to 15 years old. I think I was still finishing school. And it's around that time that I actually came across this book, which was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And one most important thing that happened in that was that it's said in such a story form, right? So even as a young child, you can relate to it and it tells you a little bit about what it is. And I would encourage each and every one of you to give it to your kids to learn, give it to them with bigger font or, get the bigger books so both my kids are today 10 and 13. And they both read the book. And I'm going to give you a few tips in the end, what you can actually engage your children to do. But this book was something, I come from a very, middle class working family, which has never been exposed to these sort of things. But when I actually read this book in my very, very young age, it influenced a lot of things, which became the reason of where I am today. And that's what I want to. So assets and liabilities. In my house, my parents would actually buy assets, and they would call it assets when they would get a house and there was assets for them. But according to Rich Dad, like we all know, and I'm sure most of us know this, he calls it a liability because anything that does not put money into your pocket, it is a liability. So when you get a bigger car, it's a liability because you're paying money for it, right? So that's how it works. It's not necessarily an asset when you have a house and you're living in it. But when you have a house and you're getting rental income from it, that's when it becomes an asset. So this is the mentality of you getting a bigger house or a bigger car. That's something what a poor dad mentality is. And that's what most people end up doing. But what the rich dad's mentality is, that when you actually get a home which is not paying you rental incomes, then that is a liability because the bigger house only takes higher electricity, a higher maintenance cost, and a higher everything. So the costs are much higher. Do you all agree with me? If any of you agree with me, just raise a hand and say, yay, we agree, right? We're all on page here, right? Because this is a very, very common book. And that's the reason I selected the next book, which gets us to the cash flow quadrant about how do we and what do we really do to get to the next level. Excited to hear? If excited to hear, let's say yay in the chat box.
Yes.
Let's get a yay in the, yeah, we agree. Thanks, Anika. Let's get a yay in the chat box if you guys are excited to hear. Each and every one of you. Excellent. Brilliant. Thanks, Sapna, Anil, Shayamala, Deepak. Love you guys. Brilliant. So this again, I assume, how many of you don't know anything about the Rich Dad book? So then I'll accordingly go deeper in the basics, or I just move forward to the next step. How many of you don't know? If anyone doesn't know, just write no in the chat. If any of you don't know, so everyone knows, right? So if you all know, then write yes in the chat.
No? It is okay. better to assume a no. So that's best awesome. Thing is.
No, so I am going to touch on it, but I'll go deeper into more deeper concepts. That's what I want to do out of this workshop. So, assuming we don't know. So what Rich Dad really says that all of us, 95% of the world's population is an employee to start with. The school and the academic system creates employees because they teach us and they train us to become employees, where we become the labor class, who can go and work with companies and they pay you for working with them. So everybody is pretty much trading time for money. So you work and you get paid. That's it. When you actually keep doing this for many, many years, there comes a time when you're probably in your 40s or 50s, where you don't necessarily become very nicely and easily recruitable. And when this happens, you probably start trying to set up something of your own. So many businesses actually start getting born around the age of 45s to 50s or 55s. Like, some businesses like KFC and stuff, they started when he was 65, right? And we all know the story. And that's never late. You can be at any age and you can still start a business and kill it, right? And you can just, be successful. But 95% of the people belong to something which is the left quadrant, which is on the employee and the self-employee quadrant, where we start with a job where our bosses are paying us. Can you not go to work and still get paid? No. The day you don't go to work, you don't get that pay. So how much ever you do, you get it. So you're trading time for money. As you grow around the 45s and 50s, some people start earlier, like 35s. Today's younger generation, like Mark Zuckerberg, starts like out of Harvard, right? Where he starts directly, where you start with a self-employed concept. Now, when you're self-employed, you pretty much are on your own, something you call as a freelance, or, where you are your own boss. You start with a small organization where you are pretty much still trading time for money, but you probably don't have a boss anymore. So this is when you become coaches or consultants, or so for example, I've been doing technology for so many years. So now I become a technology consultant, or I've been selling so much for so many years. So now I become a sales consultant. But what am I doing is I'm still, if I don't do my consultancy tomorrow, do I still get paid? Answers in the chat, yes or no? If I stop doing consultancy tomorrow, do I still get paid? No, right? Because I am the product. So I'm still trading time for money. Same like as an employee. If I stop going to work, I don't get paid. But as a self-employee, if I stop doing my consultancy work, I still will not get paid. Definitely, I don't have a boss, but I have many bosses. My customers become my boss. Every client that I have, they become my boss. And that's what most of the self-employed people are in the quadrant of, correct? What is a business owner? Any ideas? Can someone type in the chat? Who is a business owner? Type in the chat if you like. So it's written here. If you own a system and people work for you, then you become a business owner. Is a leader who has a vision with a team spirit. Fantastic, Anil. Great. So a business owner, a business is a business when it works without you. In other words, so a business owner is typically not the only product. So for example, if I am the coach or a consultant, or if I'm doing my own technology consultancy, or as long as I go, I get my money. But can I have 2 or 3 like me who can still go and I still get money? So sometimes this can also work in a product industry. It need not just be a service industry. In a product industry, you have 10,000 products or 20,000 products. And when you start selling them to people, you start getting money. But are you the only one who's going to manufacture that product and give it? So some people have a bakery, or some people are cooks. Now they make cakes and they make bread and all that. But can it work without you? So if you can have more people who are making the cakes and giving it, and you can still get an income for it, or if you are a kitchen supplier and things like that. But if you can have people who are working for you, now you're leveraging time for money. So you can be sleeping, but still there are people in your company who's working for you. So when you actually have a system and people in your company, that is when you become a business owner. So when it's more than just 3 to 5 people, but you have a proper group of people who can work, that's when it becomes a business. Otherwise, you're just pretty much self-employed. Clear till here, everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Finally,
Yes.
we come to a quadrant, which is an investor quadrant. An investor quadrant is where money makes money for you. Okay, so typically what people do is they invest into something or the other, and they educate themselves and they go and put money into, say, mutual funds or real estate or business, or they buy other businesses or whatever. And then the money starts making money for you. Is anyone investing a lot here in this group? Who's investing? Who's investing? Say an I in the chat if you're an investor. Let's say an I in the, if anyone has invested anything ever in your life. Has anyone ever invested even $100 in your life ever? Then put an I in the chat. You have, right? So most of us have done small investments, at least in our life. Has any, so only 4 people have invested in this group. Nobody else has ever invested in this group. Praveen, Sneha, Anhima, Indu. Come on, I want to hear from everyone. Krishna Raj, Lakshmi. Only 4 or 5 people have invested in this group. Huh? So others have never ever invested in this group. So investor is when the money starts making money for you. Are we clear? So there is E, S, B, and I. So I want to quickly do a poll here. Anil, if you can launch the poll.
Okay.
Which one are you? So ignore the second question, just the first question. Which one are you? Which quadrant are you in? Are you an employee? Are you a self-employed? Are you a business owner? Or are you an investor? So the untitled question 2 is ignored. I think that's an error.
Yeah, or just the question number 1, please.
Yeah, just the question number 1. Are you an employee? Is any of you self-employed? Does any of you have business? Or does any of you is an investor?
If
now,
we
1
come
clue
with
I
all,
will give
all
you.
3,
Hmm?
a lot of people come in all 2 or 3 sessions. Some
Yes,
employee
okay.
and
Okay, so let me make it clear for you now.
Your
Okay, let
question,
me share this. I'll
your
end this
question,
poll.
if it was the original question, if it was, how many of you have invested and lost money? Everybody would have put that yes.
No, I'll let me clarify this for you. So this is the shared poll that I have got right now. But let me clear this more. Whichever quadrant you select, 70% of your income should be coming to you from that quadrant. So if you're if 70% of your salary is your income, that means you're an employee. If 70% of your income is coming from your investment, then you're an investor. If 70% of your business is coming because you are working as an employee, self-employed professional, a doctor becomes a self-employed person. So I'm going to relaunch this poll and let's get other answers now. So if you can be an investor if 70% of your income today is coming from investments where money is making money for you.
Right.
And let's get it from everyone. Come on, let's be honest. So you can be self-employed if you're a professional like a teacher or a doctor who you're working on your own as a freelancer, you know, or you can be a business if you have people working for you in your company and that's what's making money. So we have 1 investor. I mean, okay, I should share the poll. Has everyone answered? Okay, so we have, I don't know if I can end this poll, but I'm not sure if I can share. So what I've got is, I've got 71% of you who are employees. Okay, there's 2 people who are self-employed. That's about 29%. And there's 1 person who's an investor. That means 70% or more of his income is coming from investor quadrant, where without lifting a finger, money is making money for you. Okay, so share results. Okay, I can't share results. So this is the result. So most of us are employees right now. Does it help? Clear till here? Self-assessment is the first rule of going anywhere. And honestly, I started as an employee as well. I was an employee for all my life. And then the next logical step becomes self-employed. When you all said you've done some sort of investments, that means as an employee, you put money aside to make some investments. And that's how it works. And then how do you become a business owner, right? Now let me go ahead. Have you heard this before? What's the full form of a job for everyone that's an employee on this group today? It's just over broke. Because every time you keep working, that's when you get paid. Of course, we get our promotions. Of course, we move on in life. But can you work one time and make money for you? So, can you, for example, people who are doing online courses or something, they create it one time, and then the money keeps coming. If you write a book, you become a royalty sort of an income. So Rich Dad's entire life concept is about passive income. Does anyone not know the meaning of passive income? So passive income is income that comes without you trading time for money. So business can become a passive income if your people are working and your money is still coming. Now, this is an interesting question. Let's see yeses or no's in the chat. How many of you think it takes money to make money? Okay, we have 1 no, 1 yes, 2 yes. Come on, let's all get it from everyone. Does it take money to make money? 3 yes, 4 yes. 2 no's, 4 yes. Okay. 5 yes, 2 no's, 3 no's, 6 yes. Go on, guys. How many are we today? So does it take money to make money? Very interesting concept, right? So we'll come to that shortly. Stay till the end. So the concept of Rich Dad is, there wasn't anyone here who said you're in the business quadrant, but this question would apply to you if you were in the business quadrant. And many people say, yeah, I am a business owner. I've had a business running for 5 years and 10 years and stuff like that, right? But you can only be a business owner if you can leave your business for 1 year and come back and see it still running. Without which you're not a business owner. Without which you are self-employed. Because if you're running a business and your business cannot run without you, that means you're self-employed. You're just doing a job. Everyone with me? Getting breakthroughs? If anyone's getting ahas or breakthroughs, please encourage me with comments in the chat. Yeah? So if you're a business owner, you need to be able to leave your business for 1 year or more and come back to find it more profitable. How does that happen? Because you have an efficient CEO running your business. Because you have an efficient CFO running the financials. You have an efficient COO who's doing the operations of your business. And when your business is truly running without you, that's when you call yourself a business owner. Everyone who does this only becomes a serial entrepreneur. How does that work? Because you fix it and you get it once and you'll keep doing it again and again. All with me? So how does that happen? Okay, so if you can't leave it for 1 year, you're not a business owner. You're an S, which is you're self-employed. But do you know the S is the toughest quadrant? Here you work the hardest. You actually, when you're in a S quadrant, for, these are SMEs, small businesses that are running for 3 years or 5 years or 10 years, are family businesses, if you will, right? These are all, none of the family businesses. There's so many owners that cannot take a day off, that are not taking their families out on vacations. Does anyone know any business that has not taken a holiday in the last 5 years? Any business owner just because he's running his business? It's better to be an employee, buddy. I mean, at least you get your 30 days paid leave, right? So it's just better to be an employee. It's easier to be an employee unless you are in an S quadrant, the worst quadrant you want to be. But the only way you can come to the investor quadrant fastest and easiest is if you can get out into a business quadrant. That's a true business owner. The problem is with the S quadrant that 9 out of 10 businesses fail in 5 years. The problem is that 1 out of that remaining, 9 out of 10 fail in the next 5 years. And this is a fact. And the problem is that 99 out of 100 small businesses ultimately fail in 10 years. Heard of this? It's easier said than done. We say get into the business quadrant. Mr. Robert Kiyosaki, we need help here. It's easier said than done. It's easier to be an employee do some savings, get into an investor quadrant. That's what many and most people do. But it's very difficult actually to get into the business quadrant. And why so? What's the way out? Because of lack of experience. Why do so many businesses fail? Because they burn out. They're working way too hard. As an employee, you normally work 8 hours a day. But as a business owner, you pretty much work 365 days a year. And you have lack of education. Now, we're not talking about education that I did, 3 masters. None of them get me capable to run any business whatsoever. So a little bit about my own journey. I started as an employee, but because I read this book very, very early on, I started putting money away to start buying investments that can start paying passive income. And investments in the way Robert Kiyosaki explains it. And that's what worked out. But today, when I'm in this field of becoming an S, I actually experience this every single day, which talks about 99 out of 100 businesses ultimately fail in 10 years. But guess what? 70 out of 100 businesses succeed in a franchise in the first year. So if any of you want to start a restaurant, will you start your own restaurant or will you start McDonald's? So let me see, own restaurant or McDonald's, type in the chat. If you had to start your own restaurant, would you start your own restaurant with your own name or would you start a McDonald's? Only one person? Yeah, Ram is saying McDonald's, Deepak says Mac, franchise, right? Because if you ever go to a bank to ask for money, they don't give money to an individual person. They will not see your experience for 15 years or 20 years and give you money. What the bank is going to give you money on is the system that you have in your company. And that's what they're going to give you a loan or a money on. Sapna is still going to start her own and Gunaskaran is going to start a restaurant with his own name. But just be careful. 9 out of 10 businesses fail in the first 5 years. And the ones that survive fail in the next 10 years. So success is a very poor teacher. We learn most when we fail. So let's not take failure for granted. Failure is important. My first business as a digital marketing company failed. And that is what taught me that maybe it's not the best thing to do. And maybe there are a few different things to do. And most companies and most businesses have always had 2 or 3 first ones failed. And then you start into getting more out. So what's the only way out? Who wants to know the way out? If you want to know the way out, let's write WO in the chat. So what's the way out? What are the tips that Robert Kiyosaki gives? Okay, 2 people only want to know. All right, 3, Shakti, thanks for saying. Sapna, okay, awesome. So according to Robert Kiyosaki, there are 3 steps to be successful in a business quadrant. So if you want to move successfully from an S quadrant to a B quadrant, where you can actually the goal is to take 1 year off and be able to make your business should be running. Why are we doing all this? Because we need the cash to put into the investor quadrant. And when you use the business funds to put into the investor quadrant, you can scale a lot bigger and a lot faster. But everything in an investor quadrant comes with knowledge, experience, and education. So what does he say? Number 1, to succeed from S to B is you need to be able to overcome the fear of rejection. We are very, very protected of ourselves. So the first thing, why he took his first job when Robert Kiyosaki was still a kid, Rich Dad told him when he had to start off in his own journey, he said, take a job with a company. First learn the foundations, and Robert Kiyosaki actually took his first job in a company called Xerox. Why did he join Xerox? Only because Xerox had a very aggressive sales training inside in Xerox. In these MNC companies, they have very extensive trainings. And he was extremely useless at selling. I mean, he failed very, very badly. But with the backing of Rich Dad, he actually guided him to get into selling. He said, if you cannot go out and persuade people, you cannot go out and talk to people about what you're passionate about and get them on board with your vision and mission, you're never, ever going to be successful in a business quadrant. So the most important skill, even if you're a self-named professional today, the first skill that you need to know is learn how to sell. Number 2 is learn how to read financial statements. The most important thing you need to understand is how do you go from the income to the expenses, to the liabilities, to the cash flow. If you're only looking at the balance sheet, that's the last financial statement you need to be knowing. A profit and loss and the balance sheet is not important statements in the real life of business. The most important statement, can anyone tell me what is the most important statement you need to know if you're running a business? What is the most important financial statement? Any guesses? Yes, Deepak. Cash flow. So the balance sheet and the profit and loss, the balance sheet gives you the situation, what it is. The profit and loss gives you what is the impact of where you are in the balance sheet. But the real financial statement that anyone, even in your own personal lives, that you need to have control on is your cash flow statement. The most important and the least talked about statement is the cash flow statement. How liquid are you at that time? If you listen to his interviews, he will say, I'm into mortgage up to my eyeballs. And how does he do that? Just because he understands what's his cash liquidity at that point of time. How much is he giving out to the bank and how much is he getting in return? What's his net cash flow for every business transaction that you do? Or even in our own, we get into mutual funds and stuff like that. Now, one thing he has a big problem with, that people say, I want to get into investing, and they get a professional to manage their money. People say, I want to become the investor quadrant, but then they have someone else who is telling them, or he just goes and gets a mutual fund, or he has a financial. He's saying, no, not really. This is not going to get you anywhere. That brings us to the third point, which he talks about is you need to learn how to lead people. How can you hire and lead people who are much better than you? Like Henry Ford, when he started, he's not even educated. Apple, Steve Jobs, these guys are not even educated. How can you lead people who are much better than you? If these 3 skills you can get, you will become successful and very, very successful. You can have multiple businesses that are running completely without you. You can actually be sleeping and your money is going to be ticking in your bank. And then but where you really need to educate yourself is to learn the financial statements and understand where are you going to put your money to make money. And that's where you want to, don't allow other people to run your financials. But then let me ask you one question. Should we diversify your investments? So assume we are all now into the investor quadrant. Would you diversify your investment into different quadrants, into different things like funds or stocks or property or business, or would you rather stick to 1 or 2? What do you think? Deepak says no diversification. What do you all think? Diversify, or would you focus on 1 or 2 quadrant, one or two instruments of investments?
Diversify.
Diversify. So the people who are not financially educated will normally say diversify, according to Robert Kiyosaki, because he says if you want to really become the masterful game, he has mastered in the real estate quadrant. And that's what he does. And that's what he breathes and lives. But you may diversify a bit, but ideally, if you are controlling your entire investment and you're going deep into it, that's when you will actually start making a lot of money. So let your business run and you understand the financial statements, but then pick 1 or 2 instruments in which you actually make most of your money. This is a mind-changing and a different approach that he talks about, but it's a very unique concept. And he says, go deep into 1 or 2 platforms, but don't get into all, because there's no way you can control everything. So this was a mind-opening one. And that's something that I learned, which is going to come to the last 2 slides. And I don't know how much time is left, but when you talk about starting a business, he talks about get into your passion. But what is a passion? Any answers? What is a passion? We've heard this many, many times, I think, on these platforms. What do you all think?
Something in which I'm more comfortable and I'm not losing my hope anyhow.
Okay. Correct. Working without stress. Nice. What you're comfortable with. So passion is something that you really love doing, right? But according to Rich Dad, passion is a combination of something that you desperately love or something that you desperately hate. So some people absolutely hate something And that's where their passion can come out. And that can be something that is a big problem that they want to solve. Or some people extremely love, for example, artists or things like that. They're completely in love with that industry. And that's when they can become a passion. So it can be either a love or it can be a hate story. So typically when you have to start something, try and find something which is close to your passion. And that's going to keep letting you succeed. Why is this important? It's because if you don't really love it too much, or if you don't really hate it too much, you may give up. Because guess what? We already said 9 out of 10 businesses fail. So it's only your passion that's going to keep you going. So if you're completely convinced about whatever you're getting into, that's the only thing that's going to keep you going. Okay, so it can even happen everything, right? So otherwise you're going to just give up too easy. And the most important thing, if you're getting into stocks or funds or real estate, the most important thing I learned from this book when I read it again is profit is made when you buy, not when you sell. So you got to make sure you buy at the right price. And that's the key takeaway that I got from this book as well. I love this game. He's created this game which you can play for kids and the others. And actually these games are happening all the time in Dubai. We are playing it on Fridays and I've got completely addicted to this game now. And I would invite all of you to reach out to us if you want to just play this game. This game is actually, no, it's not played on a platform. It's played in person in Dubai. But we play it on Fridays. They organize it at the Rove. And on Saturdays, I think they're organizing in JLT and stuff like that. So there are groups of people who are coming together and playing. This is a real life, imaginary game where they give you, it's like a Monopoly, if you will, but they give you cards and they say what's your income and your investments and stuff. And I want to tell all of you, just come play your game because you will come to know what you really are. What sort of a risk profile are you? How much are you ready to challenge yourself? And what works and what doesn't to really make you. It's a simulation of a real life story. And the game is about how do you come out of your rat race. What is a rat race? If your passive income is less than your expenses, then you are in the rat race. So if your monthly cost of living is say $100, and if your passive income, which is money that comes without you raising a finger or without going to work or just sleeping in bed all day, is less than $100, that means you are in the rat race. So the goal of the game is how fast can you come out of the rat race? And this is how it is. The inside circle, the circle inside is the rat race, and the rectangular game outside is the game of the rich. So it's very, very exciting. And it's one of the best games I've come across. I only came across 2-3 weeks back, which made me read all the 3 books of Rich Dad again. So I read the Cash Flow Quadrant, and then I'm reading this one, which I read, The Guide to Investing. And then there are 3 more books, which I've read, all of them literally 1 week again. And this is like really addiction right now. So I want to invite you all to come play this game. Thank you. And any questions, I'm happy to take.
Thank you, Alifia. Thank you so much. And you can remove the presentation.
Are we moving to the next presentation also?
No, Nias, let's take at least one person. So before going to the next.
All right, Alifia can close this. I hope I'm audible over here.
Yeah.
Am I?
Yes, yes.
All right. Thank you, Alifia, for the wonderful narration. Fantastic narration, I would say. And good to know about you. And much more than that, good to know about Cash Flow Quadrant and Roberto Kiyosaki. I'm another cut from the same cloth. I also cut my teeth in the sales. I have been in the sales for the past 12 years. So I personally could connect many things over here. One thing I would also really agree with you that right from our formative years, a formula, a pattern that was existed in 8 out of 10 middle-class households in India. Study hard, gain academic degrees, get a job, earn well, settle in your life peacefully. After we studied hard, after we mugged up the facts and figures from the academic books, when we landed in our first job, there we realized that in a life, we have to be really smart. The easy days were over. Easiest thing which we could do that we already did in school. Fantastic, Alifia. You made it very clear academic qualifications are important, but the school forgot to give us the financial education. The pattern we inherited from the parents is not the final. We went to school to learn how to work hard for money, but not how money would work for us. Thank you so much for the wonderful narration from your side. I would like to have more people over here to give their ideas on this particular book. So who's going to come next, or who's going to come first?
Let's
Hi,
get a
Praveen Singh. Please go ahead.
Alifia, I really love the way you have reviewed this book. And in fact, when I read the book, I mean, I read it very, very late. I just read it a few years ago. And I could really relate it to my dad, okay? My dad always, I mean, from the moment I started earning, you know, he made sure I had a housing loan, okay? First was education loan and then immediately housing loan. And he never went for new apartments. Usually we say, right, like, you know, you want to invest into a house, you buy a big house for yourself. He knew that I'm not going to stay there. So all he did was made me invest into secondhand apartments, which were already getting some rentals. You know, that's I mean, that's the kind of platform he brought me up with from childhood. And he has no finance background at all. He's actually a mechanical engineer. He works in a public sector company, but a lot of people look up to him as a financial advisor. And when I read this book, I could just relate it to the, you know, the poor dad. And then I started appreciating. I would always script saying that, you know, I'll never have some new house for me to stay. Instead, okay, rentals are coming, but you know, when you see, I'm from the corporate culture. I mean, today I completed 21 years at Oracle India, okay? But I don't have a big house where I stay, and I mean, kind of a villa where I could, you know, invite people and show off my stuff and all. Instead, I stay in a normal apartment, but I have houses which are, you know, getting me rent. Of course, COVID season is different. But what I'm truly saying is it all comes from the family, from the parents, on how they actually train the children to understand. I mean, most of us say, okay, let's stay in a lavish house, let's have a big car. I mean, it all depends on the brought up, and you have very, very beautifully brought up the same thing. And I was so excited that, you know, I wanted to share this story of mine. I have these small houses everywhere around the city, which get me rental, okay? And God forbid if something happens, I know I'm going to survive in spite of my income. You know, forget about the luxuries and other stuff. But I know that I'm going to very comfortably survive because of these rental incomes. And that is what you were talking about, right? Yeah,
Absolutely.
so that is what I wanted to share. Thank
Fantastic,
you so much.
Praveen Singh. That for us also, there is something to learn from you, that, you know, do not put all the eggs in one basket. You need to have, you know, your income in the different areas. Even if it's a rental, you know, go for the smaller portions in a different area. Alifia, I really like the way how you summarized the three things. If you want to excel in your life, learn three things. Learn to sell, learn to read the financials, and the third thing is that learn to
Lead people.
Lead the people management.
Yeah.
Yes, this is what we need to learn, because the size of our success is not measured by academic qualification or the scores that we scored in our schools and colleges. It is our, you know, the strength of our desire, strength of our passion, the size of our dream, and how we handle the disappointment and how we handle the people around us. Very important.
Because you want to leverage time, and time is more valuable than money at the end
Exactly.
of the day. Right?
Exactly.
If you
We
can
all know
get
that.
work done multiple times by multiple people instead of you doing multiple jobs, then that's everything. So we have a human possibilities lead coach here. So HR is overlooked most times, but sales, HR, these things we just learn as academic subjects, but let's apply it so that we free our own time and take more holidays.
We always say that, you know, everyone, God has applied a socialism in one thing, that is the time. Jeff Bezos, they have 24 hours. Even the US president, he has 24 hours, and myself, I'm having a 24 hours. But the way how they are, yes, but you know, the way how they are leveraging it, we are not looking at it. We are overlooking that part. That is something that we all need to learn. Fantastic. And I would say one thing over here. Many of us, or many people around us, when they closed their last book, when they came out of the schools and colleges, only few started reading books like, what is Roberto Kiyosaki has written, The Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or, The Cash Flow Quadrant, or the next book that's going to be presented over here. These are the books that would give the futuristic ideas. These are the books that we could give you practical ideas. These are the books that will give a contemporary ideas. So please start reading, and people who are reading, they are the leaders and they can excel in whatever they are doing it. You need to keep updated with the present world, the competitive world. So with this, I guess we would like to move on to the next speaker of the day. Next